Hi, this is Bethany Gagné, founder of the Global Peaceful Cities Project, and today I'm here with Reverend Crystal Muldrow, Reverend here at the Unity Church of Albany in New York.
Yes.
Reverend, you have, we were talking before about these elections and the consciousness of the people and prayer and intention, and you, it sounds like you've really sat and contemplated what's happened through the election in the context of prayer and intention. Can you share that?
Sure, my own contemplation has, I think, been based on my own personal thoughts and where they ventured to. I mean, with the election and with, the whole process has been just filled with a lot of fear and hatred. And I've had to look closely at my own fears as I look at the newscasts for both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And my fears and concerns, and really had to look at how much I was allowing that to control me and to nip it in the bud. And to say that really, by the media and everything, how we're souped up in this fear, and that the fear and the hatred continues to build, and that at some point in time, I was looking at a Charlie Rose interview, and Maureen, shucks, I can't remember the author's name. Anyway, she's a journalist who also wrote a book, and she said something poignant. It's just a slight mention, and she said something to the extent of, this is the only time that we've had an election where we were against a candidate versus for a candidate. And that spoke volumes to me. That shifted me and changed me immediately. And from then on, I really started talking before the election to the congregation about putting love into it. And Unity has a lot of Bernieites. And so when Bernie was gone, I think a lot of my congregation decided not to vote. And there was a lot of anger between Bernie and Clinton, and it was like, there's too much hate, there's too much fear, and our consciousness is really building something that isn't what we want. It's building more darkness than light.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the way you're saying, I had to kind of look at myself and nip it in the bud. So what did you do to help kind of, change your own place within you, because it's that place within each of us that really we all need to examine. So what could you share with people about what did you kind of realize that you needed to maybe tweak to, because we all need to do that if we're going to take ownership for the whole, that we are part of this kind of living being, energy field that we're information and communication is being transmitted among all of us. So the fact that you took responsibility for what you were putting out, could you share with people some of the process or anything?
Well, that's the first thing that you have to do. You have to recognize what you're doing and ask yourself, is this who and what I want to be?
Right.
And then committing and shifting it and changing it.
Right.
And one of the main processes of doing that is going into prayer and meditation, which I think we've talked about, that Unity definitely sees it. I think everyone sees the difference between prayer, which is communication, continual communication with the higher source, which we call God, named many other names. And meditation is the aspect that you go into the stillness. Allow yourself to be able to move beyond the anger and fear and go into a quiet spot so that you can, there's a phrase in Unity, there's a phrase that's used all over the place, called ceasing the monkey mind. The chatter that endlessly can go on based on fear.
Right.
And just kind of going into that quiet place and calming that down.
Right.
Is really the ultimate, and just saying no more. And anytime you look at a newscast, you look at Facebook or Twitter, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that I have Facebook friends who actually believe this. And you say, just release, let it go.
Right.
Because your anger and your hatred is only going to feed anger and hatred. It's not going to bring about light and love. And so even through now that the elections are over with, and I have a lot of congregants who were for Bernie, as I said before, or Hillary. Right after the election, I forged ahead. A lot of ministers, I don't think, really talked about the election. I, being a little bit of a rebel, opted to do that. And I kind of apologized to my Republican congregants because I don't think people in unity believe that they're Republicans in unity and people who would vote for Trump and, President-elect Trump. And we have them. And so, I apologize that they felt like they had to be closeted, that they didn't have a voice, they had any freedom, they were fearful. And I spoke to, and that made like 75% of my congregation like burst out in a fear cry. And actually,
wow.
I mean, I think it's my imagination, but there might have been some gnashing of teeth and I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? I mean, actual sobbing and because their minister actually said that, but then I continued to move forward with everyone.
Right.
And just say that as a race consciousness, that's what Unity calls it. A race consciousness, when we deal with the sense consciousness, the world, and when we become fearful, based on the things that are seen or that were force-fed, the poisons that were force-fed, that collectively, whether Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green, Tea Party, Coffee Party, whatever, we all voted Trump in. By our concentration on, in most cases, what we didn't want. Whether we voted for him, it was what we didn't want. And even if we voted against him, it was for what we didn't want. And millions of people who didn't vote, they couldn't vote for anyone because they didn't want either one. And so collectively, we did it. And that's what the talk was really about. And yet, to somehow find in a space of being thankful. Thankful for the opportunity that we have now. Thankful for the opportunity to look at our government in new ways, to look at our civil liberties in new ways, and our civil rights, and not to come from a place now of lack and limitation, continue to come from a place of lack and limitation, but to find a place where there's an upliftment, no matter where you're at. So I told the people here who voted for President-elect Trump, see him making positive changes. Because I think most ministries maybe are naive. Unity is such a kind of kumbaya, sort of loving place that I refuse to believe that anyone in this congregation really had any isms or any phobias. I do believe that they came from a deep space of needing change. And so I asked them to place their energy that President-elect Trump and his cabinet and the House and the Senate look to creating good change, positive change for all. And for anyone who who didn't vote him in, don't go into fear and anger. Actually use your anger to propel you, but don't act from it. Act from a place of love and wanting to add to, not subtract from.
And that's a big kind of prayer understanding, intentional understanding, that when we study prayer and intention, we study that we need to stay in the affirmative and not pray in the affirmative in a reaction to a negative. Otherwise, you end up creating the negative.
Correct.
Correct.
It's basically what your mind conceives it will achieve.
Right.
Even if you're praying, I don't want to fall. Well, if anyone is at a cliff and you're going, I don't want to fall, I don't want to fall, most of the time you find yourself kind of moving closer to that cliff. You go, oh my God, I wanna... and it's like, no, I will not fall. I will not fall. And you find yourself being more comforted. And really the only way that you can get through that is, yes, prayer, but truly meditation. And it's purposeful meditation, just to, and I know in many ways, there's many forms of meditation. And a lot of times, even as a Buddhist, I'm a Buddhist nun as well as a unity minister. So a lot of times you'll hear me flip-flopping a little bit, but they kind of come together. As a Buddhist nun, you know, I think you said it best, we usually meditate for non-intention. It's just the breathing, releasing, being here, being now. There's also a magic to the intentional meditation. And the intention, especially for the elections and if you're in pain, is to move out of the pain, to be at peace. And so even if you're doing a breathing meditation, it's the purpose of releasing and letting go and not being in that so that you can be at peace.
Right. Well, thank you, Reverend. I really think that you demonstrated peace there by being willing to kind of address the whole congregation, people who voted for Bernie, Hillary, and Trump. And I mean, that is an example of kind of people widening their hearts to hold thoughts different than maybe how they may personally feel. And that's love. I mean, that's when we start creating from that inclusive, open heart. And you demonstrated it so beautifully to your congregation. I mean, that's where we need to begin, don't you think?
I agree.
So thank you so much for that, and you were a wonderful model for that, and that's where we've got to go. And thank you for participating, and I know you're going to lead us in a thankfulness meditation now.
Yes.
And
well, I don't know if it's as much thankfulness as coming to peace, because there's so much still fear, anger, rioting, protests, which I have nothing against protests, but it should be peaceful, calm protests. We found from Gandhi and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and so many others that peaceful protests actually do far more
I believe it.
than violent ones. And so for anyone who needs to come out of their anger and their pain, because I think this hurt a lot of people in their hearts.
Right.
More of a meditation to come out of that so that you can move forward.
Right.
No matter what's happening, with more peace and more knowing that good is here.
Yeah, so it's almost like doing a peaceful protest in our heart. We're taking a stand, right?
Because unless we take that.
Well, I just feel like that the thing is, we won't even take a stand in our own heart because the monkey mind will start arguing, right? But if we could discipline our mind to hold it. I mean, like you were saying, to go to that stillness and then to be able to have the discipline to hold that and not argue with it. It's a discipline.
It is, and a letting go.
Yes.
We want to hold on so much.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to hold on to our anger, our fears, and I think, especially in an election like this, we feel ashamed to let it go. We feel scared to let it go.
Good point.
We feel like we're not doing something if we let it go.
Right.
And probably the best thing you can do for action is to let it go, so that you have a clear mind, so that there is anything that you want to protest, stand up for.
Right.
Again, stand up for. You go at it with a clear consciousness in mind.
It's not contaminated with those other negativities.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
And it allows you to just move. Without being encumbered, yes, by the energy. What am I trying to say? But it allows you to do it more effectively.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. All right, well, thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing your meditation on this. This is really good stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome.